Welcome! This video will show you how to make a simple purse out of a placemat. These purses can be personalized with a handle of your choosing, buttons, ribbons, etc. They also make great gifts and they're a great way to learn how to sew. Each library kit includes a placemat, a button, and some macrame cord that you can use as a handle or a strap if you'd like, but you can personalize your purses in the future to be as creative as you'd like. So the first step is to cut any tags off of the placemat. Next, you will want to flip the placemat over so the seams are facing down. This is so the seams are in the inside of the purse once it's flipped inside out. The third step is to fold the placemat in half. You'll want to fold it vertically and make sure that the ends are all flush and even at the top. If you don't do this, there's a chance that the purse could be crooked, so it's important when sewing to make sure that you keep everything flat and even. Next, you will take sewing pins to secure the ends together. Line the pins up the sides as well as the top to secure the placemat. That way it doesn't move around when you're sewing, and again, the placemat doesn't get crooked. There are pins provided in the makerspace if you don't have pins at home, but they're pretty cheap. You can get them at most craft stores or on Amazon. You'll notice in the video that we pin the corners of the placemat first. This is to hold the rest of the placemat in place. And we use pretty large pins just because these placemats are pretty thick. If you use thinner placemats in the future, you might not need the large pins. When you're ready to sew, you can put the foot of the sewing machine down next to the hem. This will help you stay in a straight line. The nice thing about these placemats, yes, they're thicker so you can't get too close to the edge, but you can follow the edge of the seam as you sew to help you stay in a straight line. So it's a great first sewing project. You'll see in the video that when we started, we hit the reverse button on the top facing you, and that, as you hold it down, will bring the seam back, and then if you release it, it'll bring it forward again. That just secures the seam. So we'll do the same thing at the end as well. So you'll just hit the reverse button to hold it to go back, and then release it to go forward again. Otherwise, you just sew in a straight line until the very edge of the seam at the top where it's gathered and there's more material where it's thicker. So once you reach the top of the placemat, you'll want to stop sewing. You can hit the reverse button like we did when we started, but you'll want to take the scissors and cut the thread. And then you can trim little pieces of remaining thread that are left. Once you're done sewing, you'll want to remove the pins. You can also remove them while you're sewing. It just depends what you're comfortable with. Once the pins are out, you'll reverse the placemat, flip it inside out. That way the seams are on the inside. Again, due to the thickness of this placemat, there's quite a thick seam, unfortunately. If you use a thinner material in the future, you can always get closer to the edges. Since there is a bit of seam in the placemat, what you can do if you choose is to hand sew this together. If you have a thinner placemat, you can just sew this all the way up on the sewing machine, but since the sewing machine has a hard time going through all this fabric, we just hand sewed it. So we used an overcast stitch just to go over the top sides, and then about an inch on the top where those two seams meet in the corners on the inside of the purse. Voila! You have your very own placemat purse. They're easy and cheap. They make a good gift. They're fun to make. You can personalize it as well. You can add some ribbon, buttons, tassel. You can use an old purse strap or you can make a new one. I use some macrame cord. I crocheted it, but you could always knot it. There's a lot of different ways you can use macrame cord. I also put a button and a ponytail to kind of hold it together. So thank you so much for participating in this program. Let me know if you have any questions at all.